Welcome to another episode of Frank Stallone. Who is this guy? I am Ryan, and with me today, of course, is my good friend, my best friend who I never even met yet. Dom, how you doing?
Good. How's everything, Ryan?
I'm doing really well. I'd like to say I'm excited to do another Frank episode, but I kid a little bit. Frank he's an interesting character. We love him. Before we get started, we have to get this off our chest. Our listeners are going to have their hearts broken. Dom sent me a text. I'm going to read it right now. No, I'm just joking. No, Dom sent me a text.
I'm going to put him on the spot right now.
Dom I'm going to put you on blast. No, he's retiring from the Frank Stallone podcast. I know the crowd's booing. They're mad at you, Dom. I was doing the Rambo podcast on my own, and I was having rotating guest hosts come on. I would reach out to different people. Hey, I'm doing the next episode. And it got a little bit exhausting. It was a good idea, but it got a little bit like every episode I'd have a different co-host. So it got to the point where like finding somebody new and then correlating their schedules, it got a little bit difficult. And then when I did the one episode with Dom, I knew him from his podcast, and I think he guested on a couple of other one of my shows, but I really like Dom, of course, like his style, like his humor. We're very similar backgrounds. I love Dom. So I'm like, Dom, do you just want to be my permanent co-host on the Ramble podcast? Like, I got mad at myself because I remember thinking, crap, I should have grabbed him at the beginning. Nothing against the other co-hosts. I'm just saying I really like
absolutely.
And, yeah. We started Ramble 4 and 5. We did that together. And during that journey, of course, we rolled into like naturally a Frank Stallone type podcast coverage. When Dom agreed to do the Ramble podcast, to be fair to what you're about to say, Dom, the idea was that the Ramble films have an ending in that podcast, and it did end officially. The Ramble coverage has ended. We couldn't even go through the cartoons because it gets too. It's just the same bad animation, bad voice acting, bad story plots, and it's just a different storyline. So we kind of are getting that coverage with Frank, but I'm good to keep going with Frank as time goes on. But Dom. By time to retire, this is the last one. This is definitely the last one. So
there's nothing left in the basement.
Yeah, the bees is out. So this is part 1 of 2 of your dismissal, or is your
my dismissal, my blacklisting? Honestly, listen. I was just saying off the air too. I always enjoy doing a podcast with you, Ryan. It's been great. I know you said that you wish you would have got me earlier, but I think I came in at a good time because as the movies got more ridiculous. I think I was able to bring out that ridiculousness with you.
Yeah.
Frank was always in my peripheral vision. I saw him. I would send things to my brother. We would kind of make fun of him. Then I started doing it with you, and then it became the Frank thing. I've gotten to the point now, honestly, where I'm starting to get so like almost, I don't want to say I hate Frank, but we've done it so much that I don't even want to see his. I scroll past his page now on Instagram. I don't even because it's like I think I've reached my fill of Frank Stallone.
Sure.
And I'm somebody, we've talked about this in the past too, even when we were doing the cartoon, like I don't want to be on a podcast with you and not be giving my 110%.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be like, oh, my interest is fading. I don't want to do that to you. I don't want to put myself out like that. So like, that's just how I feel, like where I feel like Frank for me is kind of fading. He's very repetitive, obviously, in a lot of his podcasts.
Sure.
So I'm losing interest in Frank. And I figure I go out before I really just despise even looking at the man and talking about him.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and I appreciate your honesty, and that's totally fair. And we're also talked about the Instagram itself. It has died down.
Right
now. I don't know.
Speculation. If it's us. We might be responsible for that.
There has to be some sort of correlation. He's watched our show. Mm-hmm. And we have literally destroyed everything that he puts up.
And we've destroyed everything he stands for, basically.
Well, he stands for America, and we can't destroy that. So at the very least, he stands for America, which we love. And I'm a little disappointed that his politics thing has really kind of slowed down on his Instagram. I thought it would really heat up because, time's short, Dom. The polls are coming close. Decision time is coming. So. Yeah, I totally understand. So for today, people are like, yeah, guys, get on with the Frank show. But this is business. We got to get this out. So send us an email if you want. Send us an email, whether it's whatever podcast feed you watch us on. I have it on Last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network. Yes, I'm still putting it on It's a Long Road because Dom was such a big part of that show. So I kind of keep it on that feed because people follow Dom there. And lastly, there is a Frank Stallone standalone feed. So whatever feed you're getting this on, or on YouTube, send us an email. Say goodbye to Dom. Wish him all the best because the next episode will be I would say like nothing's over.
Nothing's over.
But he's retiring. He's retiring.
Yeah, well, this isn't like a band breakup situation where like we have any animosity towards each other. Like we'll probably do something down the line, or it's just like I said, it's just how I feel. I don't want to do that to you. Put you in a position where I'm sitting there kind of bored. And Frank he's taking his toll. He's taking his toll on me, I think.
And for whatever reason, and the world is wired differently, for whatever reason, I can keep going. I find his repetitiveness and his zaniness, all that. It's actually, but that's it. We're all just wired differently.
And there was always there was some kind of points where we had like a renewed interest too, because I think we talked about it off the air at one point that it was kind of winding down. Then I think we had Rob on after that. So it was kind of like we had little moments where I was like, all right,
I think what it is nobody wants to see Dom go. Most of all, me. I do not want to see you go. It breaks my heart. Even when I read it, I equally understood your reasoning and sentiment. Like I totally get it. I was just as sad by it as I did.
Listen, I rather go out while I still feel like I'm interested than like in 6 months I might be like the Frank thing I can't talk about anymore.
No, I appreciate that. And so kind of a teaser. I already got a replacement. I've already got a new wife.
Wow, that was fast, Ryan.
Well, Doug Greenberg, who of course hosts the Rocky Minute podcast, he and I have co-hosted together numerous times on various projects. He's a friend of mine. He has been begging to come on with us. Like he keeps wanting to come on with us, but his schedule is really bad lately with his son's baseball. So he was supposed to be on today, for example, before you even told me about this retirement. I reached out to him and said, look, Dom's retiring and I kind of want to keep going, at least monthly type thing, or whatever Frank provides. It could be bi-monthly. Who knows? It could be 3 months from now. But Frank has to give us enough stuff to cover, right? So, would you like to be my co-host and Dom's replacement? And he was thrilled. So there you go. That might be the rejuvenation even that I'll get. Yeah,
that's good. That's good. Excited. And he'll have a new interest in it. Like I said, that's perfect, honestly.
Yeah. So I got
yet again. We I'm sure we'll do stuff together where we're still friends. There's no behind the scenes drama.
No, I have other projects, as you know. I have other podcasts that I do, and I get co-hosts on that. So you are coming on. Don't worry, we're going to podcast together again. Don't you worry.
Absolutely.
All right. All right. Well, this is a two-parter for a couple reasons. One, because I want to keep Dom on as long as I can. Two, because this podcast that Frank Stallone was interviewed on, it's about an hour, and it's hour 10, 15, 20 minutes long.
Right. It's 6 hours long.
It's long, but we did the Cow Sills podcast was just as long, but for whatever reason, everything Frank almost says in this podcast is clippable. And so I got about halfway through at about the 40-minute mark. If you just take away just what he says and the host says, and then in combination of that, of our commentary on that, we can do an hour and a half, it would be a 3-hour recording. So we are going to do a two-parter. So we're going to get about halfway through the interview. So this today's recording might only be an hour and a bit. That's great. But the next episode, same idea. I just didn't want to keep Tom or myself for 3 hours talking about and at least 3 hours. So before we get started, of course, we have to do the intro.
Yes, sir. If you ever want to veer off and do a Frank Stallone podcast, let me know.
No, that won't happen.
Any of you people out there that find humor in this, you're really a sick, vapid person. You got no soul. You think it's funny? This is a sick society. This has gone beyond the pale. You people should be ashamed of yourself.
You're going to miss that intro. You're going to miss that.
I'm going to miss it. I'm going to have to listen to Far From Over every day when I wake up.
So Frank was interviewed on a podcast recently called Pop Crime TV. Now, what this podcast is about, or this YouTube podcast is about, says here, welcome to Pop Crime TV, your go-to source for all things true crime and pop culture. Right away, they're trying to... True crime is a big thing, and pop culture, of course, is popular culture. So it's almost like
It's such a broad statement, though. Pop culture.
It's so broad. It's like, welcome to our restaurant where we serve Americana and Chinese food and like every type of food you could enjoy around the world. The food is here. Once you cover true crime and pulp culture, what's left? Maybe religion,
right?
Like,
when you think of true crime and pop culture, I mean, the first person I think of is Frank Stallone, right?
Well, yeah, I know it's ridiculous. It goes on here. We share celebrity crime stories, true crime related interviews, and shorts, and the occasional. This is where Frank comes in, and the occasional celebrity interview to keep you in the know. Her interview with Frank Stallone is going to keep us in the know.
Oh good
boy. With over 2,000 subscribers, we've been featured on Fox News, News Nation, and Crime Stories with Nancy Grace, and provide fresh videos daily and weekly live streams. All right. The host's name is Lauren Conlin. Everyone has their own style of interviews. I understand you have to be bubbly. But the way she presents this interview, with the way she talks to Frank, she acts like they're old buddies. They've been friends forever. I can't remember if I kept the clip, but you remember when she says, "Oh, Frank, I'm mad at you. You didn't call me when you were in New York." According to this interview, she interviewed Frank Stallone once before for his documentary.
So, okay. For Stallone, yeah, Frank, that is.
Yeah. But the way she's acting so casual with Frank that they're best buds. I'm mad at you, Frank. You didn't call and hang out with me in New York when you came to visit her. She has very white teeth. She smiles.
Sound like you're describing a monster. Just very white teeth.
No, they're just very white. Good for her. I mean, she's on TV. You got to have very white teeth. I mean, my teeth are pretty good. She's very bubbly and energetic, very smiley. However, she did this interview as a live stream. Now, I will say this, Dom, if you're going to interview a celebrity, and this is just me, I'm a low key, I've interviewed a few celebrities in my small podcast channels, like a few people of note in the world of whatever. I've never gone live. It's always done not live, because I'd like to let the person know of note, like, hey, this isn't live. If you say something you don't like, there's a question I ask that's too much, because I sometimes like to ask a little bit of tough questions sometimes. Let me know, and then there's no embarrassment. It'll be cut out. So that being said, that's fine. But she's brave. Lauren's a professional. She wants to go live with Frank. But the problem when you go live is the person you're interviewing might not be ready. So she actually went on her lunch hour. Says, "Welcome to the Lunch Hour Live podcast or interview. I've got Frank Stallone." Don, what did you catch at the very beginning of this?
A lot of awkwardness, I would say.
Yeah, the tech talk. So Frank was not ready to go. So she pops on, because she basically, whatever time, let's say it was 12 o'clock. So she tells Frank Stallone, "Hey, we're going to go live at 12 o'clock. So she's already hit live on her StreamYard, and Frank's not there. So that's mistake number one. Don't go live. Your guest is not even in the waiting room. Your guest
is nowhere to be found.
So she goes live and she's like, "Oh, Frank's not here yet. We're waiting for Frank." She gets a message from Frank like, "I don't know how to join. I don't know what I'm doing."
Right. It's ridiculous. It really is.
It gets very boomer-esque. Okay. There was a part of me, but again, for our time's sake, I almost wanted to play out the whole 8 minutes. It's a combination of cringe and boring, because she puts Frank on speakerphone, which is absolutely ridiculous. So she's live with a small audience, but people are watching. And she actually says, "I'm going to call Frank right now to walk him through this boomer through on how to join the StreamYard."
And the best is like this. I wonder if Frank knows that this all got recorded as he's doing it too.
Well, she tells him, "Hey, we're live and you're on speaker." She does give him the heads up. Frank doesn't acknowledge it right away. I don't think he heard or caught on. And then she repeats it later, like, "Just so you know, I have you on." Like, can you imagine if Frank was like, what he could have said on the speakerphone live? Yeah, unhinged Frank, because he's getting kind of frustrated about the technology. So it's very ballsy of her to put him on speakerphone. And she shows her phone to the screen, the Frank Stallone. Like, she's almost humble bragging that she has Frank on speed dial.
Right.
So I did keep a couple of those clips, but the reason why I'm saying all that, I'm almost spending 8 minutes talking about it, but it was 8 minutes of her smiling and people in the chat like, "Oh, Frank's adorable. Look at him. Look at that guy." I just wanted to say, look, this is a classic boomer, doesn't know how to click on the link and join the podcast. This is what it really was.
Setting Frank up for failure there.
Exactly. It makes the guests look bad. I would have been like, hey, we'll come back in 10 minutes. We'll go live again. Do not go live.
Right.
And don't go live when your guest is in there. That's pretty ballsy. Like, hey, my guest isn't here, but here we go. All right. So I've got a little bit of that. And then I got the part where Frank does make it on and she cheers like, yay, we got through this. And then you'll catch it. Frank actually mentions it was because of you and your crew. There's no crew. It's just her and people in the chat cheering Frank on. But I like how Frank actually believes that she has some sort of crew, like this is MSNBC or something like that.
Right.
Everyone, happy lunchtime live stream. It's me, and I am waiting for my friend Frank. This seems to be
my friend.
Yeah, I'm
Frank.
waiting for my friend Frank. Hi, it's me. Who are you? Why do I care about you? Like, it's such a
right.
Hi, Dom. It's me. Like,
it's
are
me.
you so happy?
It's that guy,
me, and it's you. Imagine if I started the podcast like that. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. It's me and my co-host. It's him.
We go nameless. We're so popular. We don't have to say our names.
And here's another thing. No offense to Lauren, but you're on Pop Crime TV. You have 2,000 subs. You're on Fox News. Get a proper microphone. I don't understand these.
While I was watching, I was thinking like of Wayne's World, extreme close up. Like, why is the camera so close? It's me.
This is just tips. I mean, look, I only have like 10 subs on this channel. I get it, but my recommendation is get a better microphone. It's because it sounds like you're in a room. It just sounds like
right.
Hey everyone. Well, it's actually kind of hard to listen to. It's got that tingy twangy.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, and then she goes into a little bit of a weird humble brag that she has interviewed a couple celebrities, but she's kind of disappointed that she didn't interview the real celebrities. Check it out.
Here I had Tom Farley last week, who is the brother of Chris Farley.
She just interviews brothers.
Exactly. Well, I couldn't get Chris Farley because he's dead. So I got his brother Tom.
And now I have Frank Stallone, who is the brother of Sylvester Stallone.
So I have Frank Stallone, who is the brother of Sylvester Stallone. There's a part of her, here's a good test for Lauren. Imagine if Sly called and says, look, I know Frank's trying to get on your show right now, but if you're willing to bump him, I'll talk to you right now. Do you think she would have bumped Frank?
Oh, my God, 110%. I wish we had some kind of phone number to do that because I would have pretended to be Sly.
Lauren, I know you got my brother coming on, my deadbeat brother, but I think maybe like I could do the interview with you today. Talk about Tulsa King season 2.
Exactly. Oh, she would have bumped Frank. Forget about it.
She would have left him in that limbo forever, like trying to get on.
Yeah, she would have had her crew keeping Frank on the line for an hour, trying to get him connected while she interviews Sly on the side.
I guess I really like siblings.
Ooh.
Frank should be signing on shortly, or I'll have to give him a call. He literally just emailed me and said, "What's the link again?" These guys are funny. They all do this.
These guys are funny. Boomers. She's saying boomers.
She's putting them on blast too.
Yeah, these guys can't figure it out. These guys.
Same thing. Tom did the same thing last week, but
Tom did the same thing last week. So you have two. Maybe there's a reason why these are the two lesser brothers.
Oh no, Frank is telling me that he is not supported by StreamYard.
Even StreamYard dumps Frank.
We'll have no part of Frank Stallone. It says that in the terms and conditions.
That's right. Maybe that's why we can never get Frank on our show, because we do our show on StreamYard.
Are you on a laptop?
So now she's literally reading to the audience, us, what she's typing in the phone to Frank. This stuff, we don't need to see this.
Ridiculous.
We don't need to watch this, though we're commenting on it for our viewers to watch this. But, I'm glad you're doing it for our show, Lauren, but don't do it for your audience, please.
You know what? I'm going to call him and I'll put him on speaker right now.
Ugh, that's a terrible idea. Why would you announce that? Why would you do this to? I couldn't imagine that. I would love to talk to Frank, and I'm telling you right now, Frank, I will give you a proper interview. I know I'm not a female and cute, so you probably won't talk to me, but
Definitely not.
I couldn't imagine being live right now to my audience and saying, "Oh, let me just
Right.
call Frank on speaker." This is so unprofessional. It's so
Right.
unprofessional.
This should be good, guys.
No, it was actually terrible, boring, and embarrassed. It actually made Frank look really bad. It actually made him just look like a boomer. It was like a boomer advertisement of trying to get
Right.
Frank to connect. It was 8 minutes of trying to get Frank to connect. It was not a good idea.
He's on speaker. This is awkward. I'm sorry.
It's awkward because
Why?
you are making.
Like you said, she should have stopped it. Just started over when he was on. Called him on the side.
But why? Yeah, why is she acting surprised by this? Like, oh, this is awkward, and she's laughing like this is going to make for a TikTok video or something. Like, this is terrible.
Right.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, for some reason I can't get on. It's saying, are you on Chrome, or are you on Google, or you're all this shit. I don't know what.
he's like you said before, he's one like word away from like a racist rampage.
What party affiliation is each browser? I have to know which browser is Republican, please.
Yeah, you're on speaker because I'm live, so.
Oh, it's like a diabolical laugh. You're on speaker. I got you.
What an odd thing to say. You're on speaker because I'm live. That's not a good reason.
I just found him, guys.
Okay, so after 8 minutes of getting it, I tried to clip. It was basically her guiding him through, people in the chat offering their advice that Frank can't see, that she sometimes read. It was 8 minutes. And finally he logs on, and look at her acting so excited and everything. And here we go. Here's Frank finally getting into the interview, which should have all been done behind scenes.
Goodness.
Guys, he's here.
Hello, my goodness. Well, I was thinking of something a little more dramatic on the big screen, but I guess I'll have to.
Wait, yes. Sorry, I feel so accomplished right now that we did this with the chat, and we. Oh my gosh, Frank, this is amazing.
Lauren, I'm a virtual idiot when it comes to this stuff. So,
okay, I don't know why she's so excited. She should be embarrassed.
Nobody's ever been that excited to see Frank, honestly.
Well, yeah, I don't get this. She's like, we got through this with the chat, with as a team, we got through this. No, again, this wasn't fun to watch. It was actually embarrassing. It was tough, and it was boring. It was all those things. He doesn't look impressed. He says, "Oh, I'm virtually challenged." It doesn't make Frank look good. And right now, it looks like he's holding his phone, so it's not his fault. So he's actually holding his phone for this interview. Like he was able to get on, but I think he wanted to be on his PC because through the whole interview, he's going to hold his phone back with his arm, and he's trying to keep himself in camera, jostling around and everything.
even that we're on is a big monumental thing for me.
Wait, you're not an idiot. Are you kidding? Look at what we just did here. We all just did this together, and everybody is so happy, and everybody was very helpful. So,
well, that's great. Well, thank you, crew.
See, thanks to your crew. There's no crew.
She's filming this in a bathroom right now.
Yeah, she's filming her thing in the bathroom, and then Frank's holding his phone. This is a disaster. There is no crew, and you guys didn't accomplish anything. Can you imagine, Dom, if you and I, before every podcast, filmed our technical struggles that we had together for our audience, and then we finally connected? That was some sort of celebratory moment, and then we started the show. Wouldn't people love to have that kind of beginning?
Love that. That's good TV right there. Who doesn't want to see the behind-the-scenes how sausage is made thing?
Oh, it's fantastic. Fantastic. Well, here we go. Finally, the interview starts.
Okay.
Well, it's been a long time.
I know. I miss you so much. And I'm a little mad at you because you never told me when you were coming to New York, and I thought we were going to hang out.
I never did.
You never. Yes, you did. You definitely did. You came for the premiere of your reality show, The Family Stallone.
So this is really kind of awkward and weird. Number one, there's some real confusion here. She's saying you were at the premiere of The Family Stallone. Frank either is lying or forgets, or he's just feeling bad that he never called her. I don't know which one of the.
I think it's a combination of both that he can't remember. Probably.
I think it's he can't remember, and she's oddly like hits on Frank throughout this whole interview. It's a weird, kind of like a weird celebrity thing. I don't know what it is that she's doing. She's a married woman, I think. She has kids. Frank mentions that she has kids. Actually, I mean, we'll get her age later. Did you catch her age?
I didn't know.
Do you have any guesses?
Let me see. face based on the face alone. I want to say she's in her 50s.
Ooh, oh, geez.
Oh boy.
I'll just leave it at that.
40s?
Well, sure.
I didn't come to New York. I was in New York. I was in New York when they were filming it, but I never went. Matter of fact, I've never seen one episode of it, so I couldn't have gone to the premiere.
Oh, really? Why did
I've never even seen it.
So Frank, he seemed a little miffed there, doesn't he? Why is he acting?
Yeah.
Why is he acting like it's such a? I've never even seen it. I've never watched the show, which is, I think, a lie.
He's talked about it on other things, hasn't he?
You could argue he knows the show because he was in
From
it, but he's acting like
filming,
he's never
right.
seen an episode. So he's saying, I wasn't at the New York premiere. I was in New York filming my scenes, but I wasn't at the premiere. And so she's like, well, you were in New York. She seems to think he was in the New York premiere. And I wish I did a little bit of research to see if that's, like to see if he really was or wasn't there. However, he's saying he wasn't at the premiere. He's never seen an episode. He almost seems kind of like, I'm not going to watch that.
Has he turned on the show? Have they like canceled the show or something?
I don't know why he's acting that way. He seems a little miffed. Maybe just the whole beginning.
Taryn, yes, look at all the records behind him. Frank was nominated for a freaking Grammy, okay?
And then Frank hears that and he alters his camera around to show the. You know what we should call that wall behind him? The wall of sound.
Definitely the wall of sound.
So, yes, all of his many records. This is, of course, Frank's favorite spot to do his podcast recordings with people, his interviews with people, is to show his many records. As Lauren points out, he's been nominated for a Grammy. Yeah.
He's been nominated for a Grammy, yes.
No, he didn't win one. And Lauren obviously has done her homework because check it out. She will now give her viewers his credentials in music. Here we go.
He is literally amazing.
Got a lot of stuff here.
I want to tell everybody a song that I actually still I go running to this song, Frank, and I think I told you is the song "Far From Over."
Wow, the one song. What a deep cut.
the one song everybody knows.
I look at Frank's face here. He's like, "Oh God, that one song again."
But she went running to Pushing from Rocky 3.
That would have been better. Like if she did something a little bit deeper. It'd be like telling Sly, "Oh, Sly, my favorite film you've ever done is Rocky." Okay, yeah, thank you.
right.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Celebrities are just humans like us, and when you tell them something that's a little bit more obscure, they like that kind of stuff. Oh, you like that weird movie?
You love Stop or My Mom Will Shoot?
Sure, I love the diaper scene, Sly. It's my favorite. It's the favorite thing you've ever filmed. So she mentions the one hit that he's had,
which is so good, you guys. If you haven't heard Frank's, and I think that was.
You haven't heard Frank's what? Finish your sentence. Frank's one hit. His one hit. If you haven't heard it, then put it this way: if you haven't heard his one hit, you don't know who he is.
You don't know his other songs.
My wife, who's going to be 41 next month, she does not know any songs by Frank Stallone. She has not heard Far From Over. I guarantee it.
That sounds perfectly normal.
Yes, it is perfectly normal. Why would she? She's never seen the film and she doesn't listen to that era of music. So she doesn't know who Frank Stallone is. She only knows who Frank Stallone is because she watched The Family Stallone with me. Like she watched it with me. That's how she knows who Frank Stallone, and she knows I do this podcast. She doesn't understand why I do this podcast. She's a little confused.
Was that from the movie
Staying Alive?
Staying Alive. Yeah.
What did she say?
What did she say? I was trying to catch it.
Yeah, let me go back just a bit here.
Was that from the movie
Staying Alive?
Staying Alive.
The Jungle? What?
Says the Jump or the Jungle?
And I think that was that from the movie
Staying Alive?
Staying Alive.
Okay, so this is terrible. Do not. Okay, Lauren, you're on Pop Crime TV. I'm a small potato. I have no viewers. Do your homework. Do not interview a celebrity. If you're going to talk about their biggest hit and you don't even know what album that song is, don't bring it up. Do not bring up stuff you don't know.
Right.
You could say, "Hey, tell me what inspired you to write that song." It's like do something. Let the person talk about it. But she's volunteering information that she doesn't have. Oh, well, that was from the junk. What was she going to say?
It sounds like the Jump or the Jungle, or
is that from the Jungle Junk music movie? Frank's, of course, say "Staying Alive." Oh, you mean the one that your brother directed?
Yes. Okay.
Well, I submitted that to President Trump for his new campaign because everyone's always saying far from over.
This is very telling. He steps away right from, like, he doesn't want to talk about Sly, doesn't want to talk about the film. He's like, yeah. Let's talk about current events. But I love how I guess he's kind of bring up, Frank, I love you, but he's bringing up another failure, like in the sense of, I've tried to get this on his campaign trail. I would never mention things that you didn't succeed in.
Right. Yeah, like if he's using it, then say, yeah, President Trump is using my song. But President Trump, he's basically saying that they denied it. He submitted it, and they were like, no, we're not going to go with this one.
You could have said, Dom, you play guitar or something, right? You play guitar. Yeah. So that's what I mean. Didn't you submit a song to Donald Trump's campaign? Just like Frank. How did it go? It didn't make the campaign. Well, neither did Frank. Like, why bring up something that
right?
It didn't happen. So okay, sure, you submitted a song.
Mara said this is a perfect song.
Yeah, perfect song, but didn't happen.
He gets in, we are over. So we should be far from over at this point.
Oh, okay.
Oh, clever. If she gets in, we're gonna be over. Dom, I wish you guys all the best. I kind of have a feeling. I think I know who might win. Whoever wins, we lose.
That's basically what choice do we have at this point.
I love that. The aliens. I always said the alien tagline would have been perfect for this nomination. Whoever wins, we lose. All right.
It was Alien versus Predator, right? That's what it is.
It almost feels like that. Yeah. All right. Good luck to both of you.
I should let everybody know Frank is very political.
I'm not that political. I swear I'm not political.
It's just so funny because it's so false. He's like, I'm not that political. He's very political. He definitely is.
She did mention something correct there. He is political. She's kind of cringing back because Frank's denying it, but no, he is political. Look at his Instagram. That's ridiculous. Like, he is absolutely political. He's pro-gun. He's pro this, all these things, and he's anti that. We have studied his Instagram for the last year and a half, so we know how political he is.
We definitely know it.
But I've always been like conservative, so I'm always.
That's political.
I'm not political, but I'm Republican.
Yeah, that's right.
I think I'm more common sense. I'm not a political animal like Charlie Kirk. I'm not even close. But I just kind of have common sense. I just look at what's going on and how people are struggling to buy groceries and our borders being invaded and crime is just, and when people sit there and go, crime's down, I go, really? Where?
I'm not political. And then he goes on a political rant.
And the very rant that he just went on that is not political has all been verified by his Instagram post. He literally has not said anything there that we just heard that has not been said on his Instagram.
Stances. I don't claim to be a political animal. I never did because it's just not my thing. And I'm a musician. I'm just conservative, but I've always been that way. Even for all my life, I'm not like getting on a soapbox and being radical. Listen, I have friends. Bobby Kennedy's a friend of mine. I see him in the gym all the time. He's a really nice guy. Yeah. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
He's not a radical. I think that was the only thing where he kind of said where it's like he's catching himself a little bit. It's just, I guess I do talk about a lot of different stuff, but I'm not a radical. I'm not on a soapbox. But Frank trying to convince the public that he's not political. But why is he so adamant about saying that? Like, you are. Yeah. You're very passionate about. You're actually very passionate. Again, go to his Instagram. He is very passionate about.
I would say he's more political than he is a musician. He says I'm a musician.
Absolutely. I would say his knowledge regarding his party that he supports is greater. That the level is greater than his ability to sing and perform.
Everybody in the chat is just really touting you, saying that you're so honest and you're so awesome and they love it and that we're all adults and we can be respectful and have different opinions.
All these people in the chat, if you go to our chat, there's like 5 people chatting. I hate it when people say like, oh, you're just being honest. It's your honesty, meaning just because you're being your honest doesn't mean you should say it. So for example, if I said to you, Dom, hey, I hate people with bald heads. I'm just being honest. Dom, I'm just being honest. Like, there's this weird, you're exonerated by your honesty.
Right.
But no, you can still be cordial, kind. You can still listen and see what the other person has to say that you're talking to. Now, that's what they're saying here is like, yes, we could be adults and talk. I agree. So, Lauren, yes, I agree that we should be adults and be able to discuss things freely. So let's see if Frank agrees with that or not.
I don't have to hate people. I just don't like it because if I have opinion that disagrees with someone else, all of a sudden they try to like go after me. I go, wait a second. You're voicing your opinion. I'm not going after you. I might not agree with you, but I'm not like unfriending you.
Oh,
I'm just blocking the comments.
Exactly. So we know this about Frank. Frank, you block every freaking comment that disagrees with you. I will give you permission and I'll allow you, yes, to delete people who attack you. I agree with that. Nobody should do that. So if you disagree with Frank's statements, that's fine. You can say, hey, and people do disagree with him, but he'll block them and delete their comments. But if you just start saying, hey, Frank, you have fake hair, well, that's got nothing to do with what he said about the politics, right? And I agree. You shouldn't attack the person. That goes for all people. Donald Trump, Kamala. Just start saying, oh, he's the orange man, or she is, she's this or that. No, you're right. Or she's ugly. You shouldn't say that has nothing to do with their policies. I agree. So attacking the person and not the policy, I totally agree with. So Frank being attacked, I agree. Do not attack Frank. I agree with that. But Frank, no offense, you're wrong. We have personally seen you delete comments that disagree with you. You do not like being challenged. You do not like it at all. People
that I've been friends with since 1970, all of a sudden like unfriend me. I go, are you serious? We've known each other 55 years. We're best, and you're unfriending me over this. I mean,
well, yeah, the same things that made sorry, Frank, that's the reality of the world that we live in now. The same things that made you a friend at one point can also be the same things that make you not a friend. Meaning, I'm friends with people that have the same values and ideals that I have, and if I don't share those, that might be the same reason to end the friendship. It doesn't mean I hate you, but it's like we don't have anything in common anymore. That's actually just natural. It's not. Right, I would say it's not personal. It's happened to me. Like I was in a religion for a long time, for example. I was in a very orthodox religion for many years, Dom, and I left in my mid-30s. Guess what happened when I left that church? I lost all my friends in that faith because that common ground is gone.
Right.
It doesn't mean we hate each other. It's just the commonality that we shared is no longer there.
And when you're in high school and, you're friends with everybody because you guys are all in high school, and then you get a little older and you have different lives and you separate. It's just natural progression.
Yesterday, a few days ago, driving through Beverly Hills, there was hundreds and hundreds of Trump flags, excuse me, and American flags.
Sorry, I don't know why I love that. He's always sneezing. Is Frank okay? He's always sick.
And the best is like he's holding the camera, so like after he sneezes, it does like a backflip the camera.
Excuse me. And American flags.
I love it. And there's no way he can mute because he's holding the phone. You can't hit that little mute button while you're holding the phone. So he's got a hanky in one hand and the phone in the other.
It's really heartbreaking. The sad thing is that I'm seeing in New York, they're taking people out of veterans' homes and stuff and putting illegals in there. And these are people that served their country or elderlies that have probably paid taxes for, most of their life. It's just unfair. I mean, you're here illegally. I mean, listen, my father came from Italy, but they came legally. I mean, he couldn't swim from Italy.
Okay, so what about the people from Cuba? They're able to do it. Okay. So, but regarding this, I did do some research on this. This was actually turned out to be a hoax, and it was verified a hoax that they were actually unhousing veterans for immigrants. That was a hoax. This is why you have to be careful. You have to check your sources.
There's a lot of things on the internet. We all know. You got to Google, you got to get second sources and whatever.
And I hate to say the boomers fall for this kind of stuff, but they don't verify their sources. So I did a quick research and I actually just Googled this story. This specific story about unhousing veterans and putting immigrants in where the veterans were being housed is a complete falsity. Now, there are these immigrant issues, and that is all true. Even like Google and ChatGPT verified, yes, New York, Chicago, they have lowered funding for police. This has caused a problem for recruitment and retention. These are real things, so yes. But that storyline about the veteran, because what it's doing is creating the narrative. These guys fought for our country. They're being unhoused, and now immigrants are just taking over. That's just to create this more fuel to the fire of immigrants. It doesn't matter where you stand on this issue. The reality is the unhousing of veterans didn't happen, is all I'm saying.
And I get like really bent out of shape and I go, well, voter ID is discriminatory. I said, If you go to a bank, if you go to the airport, if you go to any place, you have to show your driver's license, your ID. I would just make it myself optional.
Yeah.
You don't have to have it, but if you don't have it, you can't vote. I think that's fair. You know, make up your own decision. I don't want to force anything down anyone's throat, but you know what? Enough of that stuff.
Again, he's not political, but the whole point of that is that what he's doing is, and this is my guess, I could be wrong, by making it more difficult for immigrants who want to vote, he's trying to make it harder for people that aren't white, essentially, to vote. Because
Right.
I don't know why this is, but there seems to be a narrative. I'm only Canadian, so I don't know, but there seems to be a narrative from the Republican side of things that immigrants vote Democrat. And I don't know why that is. Maybe I'm unsure of how that is or why that narrative exists. So the idea is a lot of Republicans want the voter ID because it's harder for immigrants to get the voter ID because they're not from the country. Thus, people that are in the country seem to vote Republican. That's the narrative that Frank is saying, that he's like, oh, no. If you don't, you don't have to vote, but if you want to vote, you have to vote voter ID. So my feeling is, I'm not political at all myself, but if you are legally in the country, like if you truly are legally in the country, then you should be able to vote, period. And I don't think people that aren't legally there should vote. That's how I feel about my country too. Like, I only want Canadians voting. I don't want Australian people voting for Canada.
I'm gonna come there and vote.
Yeah, it's like if you're from, like, it's not about white or brown, right? I'm just saying if you
right
from Australia or Sweden and you like take a trip over to Canada, go to the voting polls, and then go back to Sweden. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You don't live here.
I agree.
I agree too. So if you live here, you should vote. That's the thing. If you live here, you should vote. If you're visiting, you shouldn't vote if you're just visiting. It's like visiting somebody's house, painting their house the color you want, and then leaving. Like, so I
see you later.
See you later. So I get the sentiment. And that should be the sentiment for both parties is, yes, if you're here and you're invested in our country, then everyone should be able to vote. Yes.
Which hurts tourism. Listen, I lived in New York in 1970. It was fantastic. You could walk around at night. The police did their job. Everyone felt fairly safe. I mean, New York at one time had probably the greatest police department in the world. But these poor guys, been beaten.
I mean, I wasn't alive in the 70s, but from everything you say, I mean, like, New York was a nightmare in the 70s too. I mean, Times Square, which is like this tourist attraction now with all the lights, was openly just hookers and porno theaters and all. I mean, so that right there alone.
New York was not a tourist town. Classic nostalgia that people do, it's not true. You're right, Dom. Famously, New York was cleaned up for tourism.
Right.
It was not safe in the 70s.
No, that was
down so bad that they don't even want it, like in LA.
This is where he is talking about some truth right now, where there is issues with police recruiting. This is a real issue. Yes,
they're offering to pay people's mortgages, and no one wants to join the police force. Why would you want to join something where people can spit at you, throw water balloons at you, and you just have to stand there and take it? Look what these poor cops are going through in Chicago. These people.
Sounds like my birthday parties as a kid, quite frankly.
They're water balloons.
Water balloons being spit on by my buddies. It sounds like a birthday.
That was the worst thing he could think of, was throw water balloons.
Yeah, I know. Like, I know. Imagine if you join the police force and they're like, hey, just so you know, you might get a couple of people hawking loogies at you, but there might come a time where a water balloon will be thrown at you. So just be careful. You're not going to be shot at. It's going to be a water balloon.
If you don't have law and order, then it becomes like the wild frontier. Then, you got to look out for your kids. I mean, when I was a kid, we were never in the house. We were always out playing. We never worried about a drive-by shooting or anything like that.
Okay, well, yeah, right. I know. I never worried about a drive-by shooting either. But kids are just going to go where there's fun. Kids have more fun playing their video games and iPads than riding a bike out in the 100-degree heat. Like
right.
We're all just creatures of kids and adults. I hate it when adults punish children. Everyone's looking to become. Every animal in the animal kingdom is looking to be comfortable. Think about it. That's a natural thing to do, to be comfortable. And so kids probably usually just don't do things that are uncomfortable. If it's more comfortable to chill in your house in air conditioning, that's what they're going to do. A lot of kids, when they were growing up in the 70s, 50s, they didn't have any air conditioning, so they went outside. It was so hot.
Right.
But yes, you and I, we were kids of the 80s, of course, and 70s, 80s, 90s. So yeah, we played outside, but we also played video games. I'm sure you played video games. You watched wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I go for my walks with my family, ironically, with my kids, we go for walks every day. My daughter does horseback riding, and then all the parks here are full of kids, soccer. It's like it's fine. Kids are still playing. I don't like this narrative that no one's playing. There's still sports teams are full of children playing sports, and it's not like gyms are empty, like school gyms, school activities are empty of kids playing football. And like the camps are full of kids playing these things, right? It's not like the NBA draft. The NBA draft. Oh, we can't draft anyone from high school because no one's playing sport. You know what I mean? Like it's still happening.
Listen, you are the most handsome Stallone to me.
Well,
you know that I've said that. You guys know I've said that. Come on, he is. Like, you got to admit, like,
no, you don't have to admit. And look, at Frank keeps it in. Look how he just like, yeah, you bet I am.
Yeah, I am.
Hey, again, alternate universe. Lauren has Sly on right now instead of Frank. Does she say to Sly that Frank's more handsome than Sly is?
I'm going to go with the no on that one.
So what she's doing here is she's trying to show that she's like, I'm familiar with Frank. I'm like cool with him. And I can kind of like dog on Sly a little bit because I know Frank likes that. I know Frank likes to, the dog on Sly. So she's kind of like feeding his ego a little bit here, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely.
There has been no timeline that Frank was ever better looking than Sly. It's always been... Sly does have movie star looks. You look back at the 80s and 90s Sly, like he was a movie star looking guy. He was
absolutely.
I love your brother and everything, but
I'm getting old though, Lauren. So I'm trying to hang in.
Oh my gosh, stop!
I just had a back operation, so I'm up walking again. I was walking with a cane. I was like, the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
That must have bothered you a lot, but yeah.
Let me tell you something. Sciatic nerve pain is probably the worst pain I've ever been through. I mean, I've been shot. I've been thrown from horses. I've been kicked. I've been stuck.
He's been stuck. I love that one.
It sounds, I don't know why, I just thought of the Frank Sinatra song, That's Life, because it's like, I've been up and down and over and out. That's how I pictured Frank saying that. I've been shot. I've been stuck.
Have you ever had your foot stuck in mud or something there, Dom? It's horrible.
I guess a horrible experience.
I've been stuck.
Compares to nerve pain. I mean, it's just constant.
Oh, he says nothing compares to nerve pain. Frank, that's all pain. Isn't all pain nerve pain? If you don't have nerves, do you not feel pain? Can you feel pain without nerves? Am I wrong about that?
Nothing compares to pain. Pain.
Nothing compares to hurt pain. The pain that hurts. I like the pain that feels good.
Yeah.
So I had a fusion on my back. I never felt better in my life. Honest to God. Wow. I mean, my girlfriend was here taking care of me.
Oh, he's got a girl.
His trainer.
Yeah, he mentions a little bit later. We get an idea of how old she is. He doesn't quite say it, but he hints at it later.
I'm 74 years old. I'm getting ready to do a concert September 28th in Bel Air, Maryland. They have.
So he's about to mention that the concert that he's going to be in, Dom. Bel Air, Maryland. What it is it's an Italian festival. Like a 3-day festival. So again, he mentions I'm doing a concert. It's all about the wording.
He's just on a stage with a guitar somewhere, or a little a hut or something like that.
He's playing in Maryland at a festival for Italians, okay? And he then mentions, there's like 25,000 people there. Again, his wording. I Googled it. Last year, they had 15,000 people go through it daily. 15,000 people.
Oh, right.
He's acting like they're seated watching him. 25,000 people. No. It's literally on a stage in front of you have to bring your own lawn chair setup. That's the setup. You bring your own lawn chair. I Googled this stuff. Like, Frank doesn't understand that we research this stuff, Frank. When you make a claim, Dom and I, we go out there and find out if the claim is true or not. So, yes, he's playing it. He's on the bill. I saw it. It's online. It's like their second year of doing it, whatever. And he'll be playing in front of maybe 100 people when they stop. As they walk from the corn dog station to the whatever. They might stop to listen to Far From Over on the acoustic guitar.
She meant you got shot, like you actually got shot with a gun.
Oh yes, I had 70 stitches in my hand. Yeah.
Yeah, talk about being shot, Frank. What was that? She's not listening. And I agree, that's the story that I want to hear too. So the chat's telling her, Lauren, ask about him being shot. So Frank shares the story of how he got shot. This is an odd story. He said he got 70 stitches in his hand. 70. Basically, your hand would have to be like blown off. 70 stitches. That's
right in that small area. Yeah.
Happened.
Believe it or not, I used to collect guns, and I was taking a break from. I was doing a seminar in L.A. And I stopped off at a gun store. I was on lunch break, and I figured, I just wanted to look at some World War II antique stuff. And the gun store owner was showing another guy a gun. He goes, yeah, look at the action in this. And he pulled the trigger, and I was like 4 feet away, and he hit me right in my hand, blood all over the place. He goes, oh, my God, what happened? I said, well, I think you shot me. And I don't even know why you'd have a loaded gun in a display case at a gun store. And so I just wrapped my hand up, and some guy was in the store, and he drove me a few blocks to Cedars-Sinai. And and it was really weird. It was in the 80s, and I just had, the big success was Staying Alive. And I said, this should be great. Now I have
so it's a long kind of story, not really that exciting, but he got shot in a gun store. And now he's going to talk about how he's disappointed what the headline was, because he just said here, I was a big time star in the 80s because I had the Staying Alive, the one hit wonder that I am with the Staying Alive song. And now listen to his memory of this event and why it bothers him.
After all the years, like you said, growing up Stallone, I was always the famous one because I was in a rock band. So
here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
With the same narrative.
This is the repeating narrative. He just can't. In his mind, and we'll say, I'm sorry, Frank, we'll say it 100 times. You were in a band called Valentine in the mid 70s to early 80s. Valentine never hit it big. They had some traction with some songs, with some little concerts, with some little audience members, but they never became big. Nobody knew who Valentine was on a global or national scale until Rocky came out. He sang a couple of songs in Rocky. Stallone becomes the biggest star in the world for like 2 decades at the box office. And people look into his life. Oh, your brother is Frank Stallone, who's sung on some of your movies there, Sly, i.e. Staying Alive, the film directed by Sly. That's the only reason why. In Frank's mind, he thinks he would have gotten his music on Staying Alive had Steven Spielberg directed that film.
Right.
Like, no.
That's 15. He was just kind of like a juvenile delinquent getting in trouble all the time. And I was the guy. I never cut a class at school in my life. Even though I was a lousy student, I was just afraid to cut class.
All right. You never played hooky and you're still dumb. That's the perfect time to cut class. Like, this isn't working out for you, Frank.
Right.
What happened? So when Staying Alive came out, had all this good success. Now, here's the headlines. I'm the one that gets shot, right?
So he's trying to equate his one song to early 80s Sly, First Blood, Rocky 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
Come on.
Movies that forever remembered in cinema history.
He's talking about his one hit song compared to the global box office of those 4 films. And this is what he's bent out of shape about.
I'm in the hospital, and there's a thing in the National Enquirer, a picture of my brother, like Rambo goes, Rambo's brother shot. Not me. I'm the one that got shot, but it's like Rambo's brother
Oh my
shot.
God.
And I go, well, there you go. No.
What did Sly say to that? Did he see that headline? Was he like, oh shit, sorry?
No, he probably liked it. He probably good publicity for me, not good for me. But it's
Yeah, I know. This is where I get you, Dom. You're tapping out. Like, I know. It's like, how much more does he have to say about him being the sex fiddle to Sly?
Man, he's just got that animosity towards Sly, and it just always comes out in the same way. Like, he always just says the same, like, oh, I could have been, I was famous. He was nothing. He was a delinquent. He was a wimp. Like, last time he called him, he was a skinny little.
Yeah, this episode, he wasn't dumb. He skipped school, but still graduated. Like, that's
right.
That's actually smart. Like, Sly needed less class time, but still graduated from high school.
It's like doing the family Stallone was kind of strange for me, Uncle Frank. It's just like, it's like, it was weird. I mean, I'm not an ultra private person, but I tried to make the best of it. I was just being myself,
That's all you know. Clearly, that's all you know, Frank, is how to be yourself.
Yes, and him being himself, and clearly all he knows. This is the success. This is it. That's all any one of us knows at the end of the day. Is just to be ourselves, and sometimes being yourself is just where you are. Like I am where I am in my life just by being Ryan. Like I'm not a celebrity. I'm not a multimillionaire. I'm not a movie star. Okay, I'm at peace with that, Dom. I'm actually at peace with my life.
All right,
Frank, you're not getting any younger. I'd recommend just making peace with your life.
I like the way he's like, oh yeah, being Uncle Frank, but like meanwhile, you marketed a whole whiskey off that Uncle Frank persona.
May we say rest in peace to the Uncle Frank's whiskey. It is
Any update or
I sent them a message again. I'll say it again. I sent them a message again. They haven't even seen
believe this.
They're not responding. They don't respond to your messages anymore.
I can't even believe it.
They don't respond to my Instagram. It's the only way you can get a hold of them is via Instagram. They don't have an email. They don't have any online contact. There's no phone number. I Googled Wild Sky whiskeys. They don't exist on Google. I don't even know if I can get my money back because I took a screenshot of my receipts. That's all I have is my screenshot of the receipts with Uncle Frank's bourbon because their site it's all gone. There's no way to verify the money.
Could you dispute it on your card?
It was 9 months ago. I'm not sure.
Damn.
Crazy Leo, and I'm just always been eccentric. My mother always said, oh, Frank, my mother was astrologer. She goes, well, Frank that's just the way he is. He's not mean, but he's eccentric. I said, well, that's okay.
Yeah. Are you kidding? I love how honest you are. And there's nothing mean about that. I mean,
nothing. Honesty does not give you carte blanche to be. Yeah. Anyways.
I mean, I'm not a mean-spirited person. I mean, but it's funny on my Instagram when I post some things that are political. Again, it's not like, oh, well, this, and, it's not that. I get probably 98% positive feedback.
Every fan base has their sycophants, but when you do post things that are controversial or polarizing, people do come to your Instagram to say otherwise, and you do, again, delete these people.
Right.
You always have the person that says something horrible. Then you look it up and you find out the person has no post, no this, and so it's probably some
trolls.
Okay, this is very telling. He has actually looked at people's profiles after they've done a negative comment, Dom, to see what their follower and post history is like. Isn't that terrible? He's supposed to be a celebrity. Can you imagine clicking on someone's profile and looking at their history? And he says they have no posts. I think he meant to say no followers. I think he was trying to get at, even if they have no posts. So he's saying somebody that disagrees with me, I go to their Instagram account, they have 0 followers or posts. So their comment and opinion and information they're giving to me that disagrees with me is now invalid. What a weird way to live.
And then he blocks them.
Then he blocks them. So what I want to say to you, Frank, so people that agree with you, Frank, people that agree with you that have 0 followers or 0 posts, why is their information valid? See, even him and his great wisdom, it's called confirmation bias, Frank. You have confirmation bias. So when comments agree with you, it doesn't matter what their account has for posts or followers. But when the comment is negative or disagrees with you, then their social media history or status, that's what matters. Like, it's so juvenile. You're 74 years old, and this is juvenile behavior.
Yeah. And, everyone's very...
Again, they're always a troll if they disagree with you. I'm not saying like attacking him or how he looks or about his music. That's trolling. I understand. But disagreeing with you, Frank, is not a troll. They're not disagreeing with you. I've seen some before he deletes them, I see some very sound arguments. Before trolling.
He deletes them.
Yes.
Brave on the internet. They're like the bravest people. They should be war heroes. They're so brave on the internet. And they say...
Again, they're not being brave any more than you're being brave behind your keyboard. And why are the comments that are agreeing with you? Why are they cowards?
Right.
Are they cowards because they agree with you? Maybe the brave people are the ones who actually disagree with you. They are truly brave because they know they're going to get a shite storm of treatment from you when they do disagree with you.
She's laughing hysterical at everything he says.
Oh, I know. It's such pandering. Such a pandering interview. Again, I've interviewed people and I've never acted like this. Like, they're just humans too. Like, why is everything he's saying so funny and so amazing? I don't know.
And they say, like when President Trump got shot, I said, I don't find any humor in a human being. A father of grandfather of 10, I don't find any humor in that. Someone getting shot.
Well, the bandage was a little funny. why was the bandage on his ear like that? I don't understand the bandage. Do you remember the bandage?
I do.
So I agree. Getting shot at's not funny, but can we laugh at the bandage? Are we laughing?
But there are people out there that are just mean-spirited, and I said, I don't find anything. And there were some comedians that were doing stuff. I said, you know what? I think you're going to have a short career, because I think most people, I think most people at heart are good-willed, and I think seeing anyone shot. Listen, I was in military school.
Okay, this is very interesting. He is going to equate his time, and his son Rob brought this up, how he treats his military school like experience, like he was in the military. So he's going to talk about how JFK was shot while he was in military school. It kind of amps up his military school experience, because I was there. I was in the thick of it, you know, during this time in America, because I was in military school. I don't know. It's like saying you're going to driving school during a NASCAR crash.
Right. I really felt it.
Yeah, I was taking driving school and I heard about a really fatal NASCAR crash, and I was there, man. I felt that crash in my driving school class.
When Kennedy got shot. And so I was in a total military environment, and I got to say, it was probably one of the bleakest 5 days of my life. It was like the sky, it was November, the sky was gray.
It was November, the sky was gray, a little slight overcast.
So popular, and it was just a horrible thing to see like children at the grave of, you know,
children at the grave. Yes, his kids were at the funeral. Yeah, I love it's like his children attended the funeral. No, kids at the grave.
There's a documentary, and it's called Stallone ... Frank, that is. And it's an amazing documentary about Frank and about his career, his music career. And, you know, there's just a lot that we didn't know about you. And it's so fun to hear you say, you know, like, I was the famous one. My brother was the one that was like donking off in school. You know, and you're the one writing all these great songs, performing, and, you know, people, they didn't realize that you know, you were nominated for a Grammy Award, and you actually.
Wow, that's sad. All this, this documentary just proves that you will always just be Frank Stallone, that is, or Stallone Frank.
Right. The title alone.
Yes, the title alone is the giveaway, and the title, when that documentary came out, directed by the great Derek Wayne Johnson, which Frank never gets credit for. He never gives credit to Derek. I'll say that right now. Frank is not very kind to Derek. Derek did an amazing job with that film, editing, directing that documentary. But that being said, it's a great title. And I remember when that title came out, I was like, good, Frank. You're taking the mick out of yourself. You're leaning into your status as a sibling, the less popular sibling of a star. Good. But now he's kind of flipped the narrative around, like, yeah, but I really should have got my dues. Like, no, that's a bad look.
Very bitter, Frank.
Didn't you write some of the music for Rocky as well?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the stuff that didn't get into the movie.
I know, the way she's acting. Didn't you write songs for the movie that your brother wrote and created and acted in? Like, just the stupid things of directing and writing and acting in the film. But you wrote a song.
You got pushing into Rocky 3, right?
I know. You got pushing to Rocky 3. You got Take You Back, and then the other 4 films. Like,
right.
Lauren, no offense, but those songs are okay at best, and they're not the reason. Put this way, the Frank Stallone songs that his brother allowed him to work on the cheap for to get into the film are not the reasons people go back to the films.
No, and even if you say, like, oh, give me an iconic Rocky song, none of them in any of the movies are by Frank Stallone. You're going to say Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. You're going to say the Bill Conti stuff.
Robert Tepper's No Easy Way Out. Yeah.
If you're like us and it's a deep cut, obviously, Take You Back. But
sure,
the casual
yeah, we know
fan
that
isn't going to
song.
remember Take You Back.
And the only reason why we kind of know that song is because that's the song that Frank is singing at the garbage cans when Sly walks by with Adrian, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's Frank Stallone's brother." I'm sorry, that's Sly Stallone's brother, and he's a trivia note.
Right, exactly.
Well, he admitted in the film, he goes, Frank was the first talented guy in the family. Before me.
See, look at this. I was the first talented person. I showed talent visually and audibly, showed talent before Sly wrote Rocky. I should be the star.
Just let it go, Frank. At this point, just let it go.
My first album with my group Valentine came out on RCA Records almost around the same time Rocky came out.
Almost around the same time. I love it. We're not too sure about that. I get so confused with the timeline. I think he was in the band Valentine while Rocky came out. He's just going to repeat himself again. It doesn't matter if you're the Eagles. It doesn't matter. Again, he brings up the Eagles. They had the biggest album. Why does he keep bringing up the Eagles?
Like their album is like one of the greatest selling albums of all time, and he brings up the Eagles.
It's so weird. It's such a terrible example because he keeps bringing up the Eagles. Yes, we already say this on a previous episode, but we have to say it again in case someone didn't hear that one or remembers. The Eagles had their Hotel California. I think it was the same year. Months. Yeah. I think it was 2 or 3 months after.
That's why Frank didn't get to the top, because it was the Eagles.
It doesn't make sense. Frank, people can buy a good album and watch a movie at the same time. They don't have to. One doesn't cancel out the other. I listened to a new album that just comes out this weekend. So I'm listening to this new album. It's amazing. I love it. And my wife comes up to me and says, "Honey, do you want to watch a movie at the theaters?" "Honey, I can't. There's no way I can handle.
I'm too busy. I'm too invested in this album right now. Come to me in like another year."
Exactly. Or vice versa. After we watch the Rocky film, you and your buddy are like, "Hey, you want to go to the LP store and buy an album?" "Are you kidding me, man? We just watched Rocky."
Processing this right now.
I can't watch TV. I can't read any books. I saw Rocky. Okay, give me some time, man. You have to give it some time.
There's multiple movies that come out in the same year that are classic. Like there's those years that are like, 1982, so many good movies came out. Like they didn't stop each other from being successful.
Yeah, the one has nothing to do with the other. People were still watching MASH
right
when the sequels of Rocky came. Like, yeah.
Right.
So, and Rocky was like a perfect storm. So I don't care if you were the Eagles coming out with your first record and you were related to him. It doesn't matter. You would be overshadowed. But
it doesn't matter if you're the Eagles releasing your first album and you were related to him, you're being overshadowed. Now, let's just break that down.
He's equating it to that he's related to Sly. This is why it wasn't successful, almost like.
But that doesn't make sense. So,
doesn't make any sense.
So he's saying that if he wrote Hotel California, he's saying that it wouldn't have been successful. So there's two different things going on here. Either the music speaks for itself, Frank, or you're helped by another person because of their celebrity. So what I'm getting at, so he is blaming. Okay, actually, I think I've got it. You nailed it there, Dom. He's saying he's not famous because his brother is. Is that what he's saying?
Which is obviously a lie.
He only exists because Sly is famous. Frank, you would never have been. Oh, this is so freaking annoying. I can't help it. This is where I get annoyed too. The fact that he doesn't recognize that his only celebrity is because of his brother. He should be grateful for that. The music that he's created does not stand the test of time. It would not have done well on its own. There's just no world that his music would have existed. He already proved it with Valentine. Valentine was out before Rocky came out. He was already playing music. I've been playing since I was 15 years old. So he was in the business for 15 years and nothing clicked. So Frank, the fact that you had any kind of boost or bump was because of your brother. You're both proving and not proving your point at the same time.
Let's say he had an album like Hotel California. Like you just said, it would have been more elevated because of, this is Sylvester Stallone's brother. Did you know that? Okay. Rocky's hot.
Exactly.
The other brother's hot too.
Exactly. They would have been, whoa, this album this is a freaking amazing album. Because no one's going to listen to the Eagles' Hotel California. And they're going to be like, oh, wait a minute. Who are these guys related to? Before we get too
right.
Can we find out who their siblings are? I need to know what their status is before I can enjoy this album.
Did Don Henley's brother direct a movie? Come on, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's such an odd... Frank, it's just... No offense, but your music's just... It's not that good.
Right.
Like Far From Over is a fun song. I get it. We like it's a fun song. Of course, it's a fun whatever song, but there are tens of thousands of songs that are just fun songs. It's okay.
But look at it in just the scale of like one-hit wonders. How many great one-hit wonders are there? Like great songs by somebody that are better than Far From Over even. And then you never hear anything from those people again. You're like, oh wow, that is an amazing song. Then you look and they made a second album that sucked or something like that. Yeah. It's like, it's just the way. There's so much good stuff out there.
There's just too much to choose. Too much.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I always believed in myself. I always had I believe in God, and I always believed in myself because ever since I was a little kid playing music, we won the Battle of the Bands. So
enough of the Battle of the Bands.
He's living in the past. Frank is living in the past. He is still talking about the Battle of the Bands that he won in high school. That's like me talking about the football game that I won in high school. Still.
I know. Okay, there. Okay, Al Bundy.
Yeah, exactly. Poke high.
I would have been a superstar if it wasn't for my bum knee. All right. Everybody's always that, one touchdown away from being drafted. We get it. Like, sure.
He talks about Battle of the Bands like he was on American Idol.
It is. And Battle of the Bands, all it means is in your local area. They had 4 or 5 bands playing on stage for one night, and the crowd voted with the cheer-o-meter. It's a local event. It's not national. It's not televised. It's whatever the top band in Illinois, Chicago, Aurora, Illinois was at the time, or whatever.
So we were always like really a good group and stuff like that. But
yeah, I'm sure you guys played songs that sounded like songs and people enjoyed them. But what does that mean? This happens all the time everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
This is just the plight of musicians. You guys are literally a dime a dozen.
Uh-huh.
We just got crushed. I mean, overnight, I became like a non-person, just became Rocky's brother. And,
Ooh.
It's like evident. I mean, I know we've seen him say this stuff before, but it's like just that he keeps going back to it in interviews. He's got to just make that excuse that like, oh, I would have been more famous. I was Rocky's brother after that.
Lean into it, Frank.
Yeah.
Just say, you know what? I was struggling for 15 years. My brother got this great film that population of America and the world loved. And my brother, being sweet and kind that he is, I was able to get my music showcased on that platform.
Right.
And it really helped showcase my career. Because of that, I was able to do songs on his movie again. So it got showcased. Otherwise, people probably wouldn't have heard my music. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity that my music was displayed. I'm happy for this moment that I was able to have this moment because hundreds of thousands of talented people who don't get this boost that I was able to get this boost.
Right.
There you go. And then you and I would be on the show doing, oh, well, that's a fair statement.
He never gives credit to the movies that his brother's movies that featured his music.
And at that point, it kind of negated the 17 years playing all these clubs and bars through, in New Jersey, Maryland, Philadelphia, stuff, driving like a $300 car. But that's
Frank, that's the whole point. You just proved it by saying that for 17 years, you're busting your ass out there on the road, doing your thing, doing that which you're passionate about. I get it. It didn't click. In an alternate universe, if some record label picked you and Valentine up and you guys shot up the charts, Eagle style, then you would have been in a universe where if Sly created Rocky and you were already at Don Henley level at the mid-70s, as Don Henley was, you're right, and Sly creates a film and still Rocky does well, people would have been like, whoa, look at this power duo of brothers.
Wouldn't have affected anything.
That's right. We got Valentine popping the charts, and then we've got Frank Stallone's brother, Sylvester Stallone, killing in the movies.
Right.
But he just proved his point for 17 years. Nothing clicked. Rocky comes out. Now he's Rocky's brother.
He makes it almost like he was going to be like the Beatles. It's almost like if Paul McCartney's brother directed a movie and then like, oh, that would negate everything the Beatles did. Like, oh yeah, he made a movie and everybody loves it. So like now nobody cares about the Beatles. Like, it doesn't work like that.
Not at all.
You know, you either flow with it or you just cashing your chips.
Or you're bitter the rest of your life until you die.
Yes. It's funny. The two things that he said he's not doing either. He didn't flow with it, embrace it, have fun with it. 2, cashing your chips. So that's just, take your one-hit wonder royalties and just live the rest of your life just chilling. So we'll stop it there. That's part 1. So we'll end the interview with Lauren Conlin on Pop Crime TV. We'll end Frank Stallone's wonderful history of music and his life and journey into the music industry. We'll see if he ends on a happier note. So for the record, I actually haven't heard the last half yet. I've only heard the first half, and there's a lot.
No, me neither.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to hearing how Frank closes this interview. Oh yeah, Tom, why don't you just plug your other podcast that you do on your own?
So I do the Movie Thoughts podcast. It's usually just me ranting and raving about movies, newer movies, sometimes older movies, and stuff like that. So yeah.
And you're a big Beetlejuice fan. You're a big Beetlejuice fan.
Big Beetlejuice fan.
How many times did you see the second one in the theater? 3?
I ended up seeing it 4.
4 times, man.
I went with my sister, went with my wife, and then I went by myself again. I did go with my wife twice. Yeah, she wanted to see it again.
It's not a problem. No, don't be silly. Don't be silly. So it was fun. Was it a fun film or?
I liked it. It was a movie. You know what? I really like. I've talked about it on my podcast. I'm really a big fan of the original, and that was one of those movies that I always wanted a sequel to. And it's fun. It's fun. It's a good time.
The ratings seem to be the same. I saw like the Metascore or whatever. It seems to be the same score level of the first one. So it's kind of like if you enjoyed the first one, I would suspect you probably enjoyed it.
Exactly. If you go and it's one of those movies, you check your mind a little bit at the door, but you have fun with it. If you're a Beetlejuice fan, especially, and you want to see Michael Keaton doing that shtick again, it's for you.
But no Alec Baldwin, eh?
No Alec Baldwin, no Gina Davis in there. They kind of explain it.
They do.
It works. I mean, because there's a lot going on in the story other than them, so they kind of just, I'll say they kind of wave it away with a comment. Yeah. It works.
Do you think if Alec Baldwin didn't kill somebody with a gun, do you think he'd be in it?
So from what I heard, because I was actually reading an article with the guys who wrote the script, there was a version of the script that had them cameo, like at the end. Okay. But Tim Burton felt like he didn't want to just put them in just to be like, okay, we got to check the box of having them in there. So from what I heard, that's the reason they're not in there.
It was an artistic, creative choice. It had nothing to do with
it. Right. I mean, I'm sure that didn't help, if they were like, all right, this guy just killed somebody on a set of a movie.
All right, guys, check out Dom's Movie Thoughts podcast. He does a great job there. Again, if you got to be on top of the films. He will literally watch a movie and give a review right after. So it's good. It's good for recent movies, but then I've literally watched movies and then gone back on your feed to listen to your review much later. Because I'm much slower than you to get into those films. All right. Well, this is part 1, guys. We'll continue this huge interview, the big swan song for Dom. And there'll be a special treat next episode because we're going to showcase Dom's acting in a Frank Stallone.
Yes. Should be good.
That's a good tease there. Okay. Well.
That concludes another episode of Frank Stallone. Who is this guy?